So, interesting thing. Now, I've been saying for a while now that regular season, you got to take it with a grain of salt. Sorry, very, very thirsty. Didn't realize how thirsty I was. And I've taken some heat from some viewers who said, you're not giving credit to look how good this team is right now. So I just went through my 2017 Hockey Guide and Record book, and I looked back at the playoffs since 1981. 1981, that was the first year I watched the playoffs. 1980, I watched Buffalo beat the hell out of Vancouver, and then I'm like, I don't want to watch this. Or was that Philly? Philly beat the hell out of Vancouver in 80, and then Buffalo beat the hell out of Vancouver in 81. Good times. But I did this chart to kind of show that if your team finishes first in the division, we're not talking about the President's Trophy. Everybody talks about the curse of the President's Trophy. Being first in the division doesn't get you anywhere. So I came up with this wonderful chart. If you do not see your team on here, it's because they have not won a division title. So I don't want people to say, well, my team won a cup, or are they not on there? Or where's Columbus? They've never finished first in their division. So drink it in, boys and girls. Okay, so Anaheim up here, they've finished first in their division 4 times. They've been out in the first or second round twice. They've made the third round conference final once. They've made the cup final once, and they won. Boston's next up. They've won their division 11 times. They've been out in the first or second round 8 times. Conference final 3 times. They made the cup once and lost. Buffalo, 4 times they've won their division in terms of finishing first. 3 times they've been out in the first or second round, and they made it to they never made it to the final. Wow, this is really funky. All right, Calgary. I think I get it in line here. Nope, it's not in line there either. All right, I know what I wrote. I know why I wrote it. Calgary. 6 times they've finished first in their division. 5 times they've been out in the first round, and the one time they won the Stanley Cup was in 1989. They did finish first in their division. Carolina, 3 times. 3 times they've won their division. They've been out the first or second round once, and they've made the Stanley Cup final the other 2 times, where they won one and they lost one. So Carolina's got a fantastic record. Chicago, 7 times they've won their division. They've been out in the first or second round 3 times. They've made the third round twice, and they've made the cup twice, and they've won the cup twice. So their conversion record for finishing first is pretty good. Chicago's pretty good. When they finish first, they take advantage of that home ice. Colorado won their division 11 times. We're out in the first or second round 5 times. Made the conference final 4 times. Don't we all remember the Detroit series between at the conference final between them and Colorado? 2 Stanley Cup wins when they got there. Dallas / Minnesota, so counting the North Stars, won their division 10 times. 6 times they were out in the first round. Twice they were out in the third round, and they made the Cup finals twice. They won 1 and lost 1. The Detroit Red Wings. This is insane. They've won their division 16 times since 1981. They've been out in the first or second round 9 times. They've made the third round 3 times. They've made the Stanley Cup 4 times. They've won 1, 2, and lost 2. Good conversion rate for Detroit there. So 25% of the time they win the division, they go to the Cup final. Edmonton, 6 times they've won their division. They've been out in the first or second round twice. They made the Cup finals 4 times, and they won 3 of them. Of course, the last time they won their division was 1987. So got to take it with a grain of salt. Florida's won their division twice, been out in the first round both times. First or second. LA's won their division once, and they were out in the first or second round. That's right. The Kings, who've won the Cup twice, have only won their division once. Minnesota's won their division once. They were bounced in the first / second round. Montreal's won their division 9 times, and they've been bounced in the first or second round 8 of them. They made the Stanley Cup final once, and they lost. So this is why when Montreal fans get all high and mighty and get on their high horse, we're the greatest franchise in history. You look at the last 35 years, and it's not there. The history was prior to that. Most of us weren't alive for it. So let it go. New Jersey, 9 times they've won the Stanley Cup. 7 times they've been out in the first or second round. They've made the finals twice. They won one and lost one. The Islanders, 4 times they won their division. They were out in the first or second round once. I think the last time they won their division was 1987 as well. And they made the Cup final 3 times. They have a 2-1 record in the final as a division winner. All those had Mike Bossy on the team. So the Islanders fans don't really have a whole lot to talk about either. Rangers fans, they have five division winners, out in the first round or second round twice, out in the conference final once, and they've made the finals twice. They won in 94, and then they lost. And that was only a few years ago. So that's where they're at. Ottawa, they've won their division twice, out in the first or second round once, out in the conference final once. Phillies won their division 10 times. They've been out in the first or second round 5 of those 10 times, made the conference finals 3 times, and they lost in the finals twice. Hextall in 87 was the big one. Pittsburgh's got a good conversion rate. They finished first 8 times. They're out in the first or second round 4 times. They're out in the third round twice, and they make the finals twice, and they're 1-1. St. Louis, 6 times they've won their division, 6 times they've been out in the first or second round. San Jose, 6 times they've won their division. 3 times they've been out in the first or second round. 3 times they've been out in the conference final. Tampa Bay's won their division twice. Once they were out in the first or second round, and the other time they won the Stanley Cup. Toronto's won their division once, and they were out in the first or second round that year. Vancouver's won their division 9 times. 8 of those times they were out in the first or second round. The one time they made it to the final, of course, famously, they lost to the Bruins. Washington, 9 times they've won their division, and 9 times they've been out in the first or second round when they won the division. Winnipeg's won the division once. That was when they were the Thrashers, and they were out in the first round that year. They got swept. So the reason I did that chart is simple. There's a lot of people talking about which of the division winners right now looks the best, and which of those 4 teams is going to go on a run in the playoffs. Don't bet on it. Not yet. Unless your team has a history. Because history has a way of repeating itself when you've still got that roster that's won the Stanley Cup before. Washington's shocking. When I looked at that, and I looked at Washington, I thought it was shocking. That 9 times they've won their division, and they've never got out of the second round anytime they've won their division in their franchise history. They didn't win their division before 81. They were garbage before the 80s. So it is stunning. And this is why, I took the Capitals to win the Cup before the season started, because that's, I wanted to go a little bit off the board, and everybody else was taking Tampa, and I thought, well, if everybody's taking Tampa, Tampa's not going to win it. But it's kind of weird. That's just division winners. Everybody talks about the curse of the President's Trophy. All the President's Trophy is the number 1 division winner. Being a winner of your division doesn't get you anything. If you look at last year, and I'm just going to do a quick perusal here. So if you look at last year, 2015-16, Anaheim won their division. How'd they do in the playoffs? Dallas won their division. Goaltending. Washington won their division. And they won the President's Trophy last year. How'd that work out for them? And Florida won their division. The year before, 2014-15, Montreal won their division. The Rangers won theirs. St. Louis won theirs. And Anaheim won it again. And just for people keeping track, Pittsburgh won last year as a second-place team, and the year before, Chicago won as the third-place team. 13-14. Let's look at the division winners then. Boston won in 2014. In the Metro, Pittsburgh won. The Western Conference Central Division was won by a very surprising Colorado Avalanche. And the Pacific was won by Anaheim. The Cup was won by those Kings that slid in under the door when nobody was paying attention. And yeah, that's how that worked out. I mean, I could keep going back. 2013 is the last time that a President's Trophy team wins. The Blackhawks won the President's Trophy with 77 points in 48 games in the lockout shortened season. They won from pillar to post. The thing with that was that because of the shortened season, it was not as much of a grind. So Chicago could just take that momentum and ride it to the cup, and it was impressive to watch. Let's look back. 2012, Boston won their division. The Rangers won their division. Florida won their division. St. Louis won their division. Phoenix won their division, and Vancouver won their division. And Vancouver won the President's Trophy that year. How'd they do? They lost in the first round. And the winner that year was the Kings, who were the 8th seed. So there you go. So you got to put it all into perspective. Because looking back, and I'm just looking back to 1981, because when you go back beyond that, you're getting back into before there was even 20 teams in the league. There's a lot fewer teams. That's when Montreal's dominance was, a lot of it was during the original 6 era. There are a lot of reasons why Montreal had dominance. There was intelligence, and then the fact that if you were French born, they owned you. That definitely helped. You look at the biggest stars in hockey back then, and they were French Canadian. Now they're from all over the world. It's a little bit different, and nobody has exclusive rights to anybody. But yeah, so that's what I came up with on the board today, and that took a lot longer than I thought it was going to, and it was a lot more depressing for me as a Canuck fan, as a Bruins fan. 11 times they've won the division. They've been out the first or second round 8 times. That's why I don't get excited when they win the division. Like, oh, we're first. Shit. No, not first. Dallas, first in their division 11 times, out in the first or second round 5 times. And Vancouver, they've won the division 9 times, been out first or second round 8 of those times. So it's like, yay, we won the division, and fans get excited. I'm like, oh, no, we do better as underdogs. We do better if we don't win the division. If your ego is just kept in check enough. So here's the question for you guys. There's at least 2 division winners that are going to be out in the first or second round. At least. Of the teams currently leading the division, which one gets knocked out in the first or second round this year? Make your picks below, and if you're just browsing your way through, hit like and subscribe. I may utilize this board again today. I may have more to discuss regarding playoff odds and things of that nature. I'm going to play around with this again. I was going to do like President's Trophy winners on here too, but I think just division winners makes enough of a point. That just winning your division doesn't give you anything. So as excited as you can be that your team's number 1 right now in the division, come playoff time, it's a whole other ball game. It is a whole new ball game. What's working in favor of certain teams, in favor of Minnesota, they don't have a history of winning their division. So there's nothing on the board here to suggest that the team's got a history of choking because they haven't been in that favored position. Whereas Washington, they may not want to win the division. They may want to keep playing like shit and fall out of first place because history shows they play better when they're not in first than they do when they're in first. Once the playoffs roll around, they're done. All right, let me know why I'm wrong in the comments below. Like I said, I was browsing through, perused the magazine. One of these could be wrong, but I think I'm pretty damn close to accurate on everybody. I think Carolina's conversion rate is funny because I remember the criticism with Carolina when they were winning the Southeast Division was that it was a very easily winnable division, and that they weren't going through the same difficulty in getting into the playoffs. Therefore, they had more energy left in the playoffs. Certainly, by getting to the Cup final and losing, and then getting to the Cup final and winning, there's something to be said for that. Although the year they won, Cam Ward had a lot to do with it. So it depends on how you look at it. Let me know what you guys think. I will talk to you all again soon.